You're driving home. A car swerves into your lane. Your foot slams the brake before you even register what happened. No thought, no decision, just movement. By the time your conscious mind catches up and says, "That car cut me off," your body has already done something about it. You'd think the brain works like this. See danger, think about it, then react. But the real answer is far stranger. Your body reacted before you ever saw anything at all. Somewhere inside your skull, a tiny almond-shaped structure made the call. It's called the amygdala, and it didn't wait for permission. Here's the part that should unsettle you a little. The neuroscientist Joseph LeDoux spent decades mapping exactly how fear moves through the brain, and what he found broke the old assumption that thinking comes first. There are two routes a threat can take once it hits your senses. One is the long way, through the visual cortex, where the image gets processed, identified, compared to memory, understood. That path is accurate. It's also slow. The other path is short. LeDoux called it the low road. Raw sensory data goes almost straight from your eyes or ears into the amygdala, skipping the parts of your brain responsible for conscious thought entirely. The low road is fast, milliseconds fast. Fast enough that your body can duck, flinch, or slam a brake pedal before the rational, careful, thinking part of your brain even knows there was something to think about. Why would evolution build a system that acts before it understands? Picture a man walking through tall grass 200,000 years ago. There's a shape near his foot. Striped, coiled, still. He has two options. Stop, examine the shape carefully, determine with certainty whether it's a snake or a curved stick, then react accordingly. Or jump back immediately and figure out the details later. The careful thinker is more accurate. The fast jumper is more alive. This is the logic stitched into your nervous system. Accuracy didn't keep your ancestors breathing. Speed did. And the cost of being wrong wasn't symmetric. Jump back from a stick, and you waste half a second feeling silly. Stand still and examine an actual snake, and you don't get a second chance to learn from the mistake. Evolution doesn't care about your dignity. It cares about your survival rate. So it built you a smoke detector instead of a detective. The psychologist Arne Öhman ran a series of experiments that showed just how deep this wiring goes. He showed people rapid sequences of images, flashing them so quickly that participants couldn't consciously identify most of what they'd seen. Hidden among ordinary pictures were images of snakes and spiders. Even when people had no conscious awareness of having seen a snake at all, their skin conductance spiked. Their bodies sweated, their nervous systems activated, their stress hormones rose. The fear response fired before recognition, before language, before the word snake ever formed in anyone's mind. Your brain was already afraid before you knew there was anything to be afraid of. Öhman's work didn't stop there. He also tested modern fears, things humans are taught to dread, like guns or frayed electrical wires or broken glass. People can absolutely learn to fear these things, but the learning is slower and it fades faster. Snakes and spiders, by contrast, are remembered by the fear system almost instantly and resist being unlearned, even in people who have never once encountered a real spider in their lives. That's not random. That's ancestral debt. Your brain isn't responding to the world you live in. It's still running defense software written for the world your ancestors lived in. Here's where it gets stranger still. You don't just react to threats faster than you can think. You sometimes feel the reaction before there was a reason to feel it at all. Your heart can start pounding seconds before you consciously notice the dog growling behind the fence. Your palms can sweat before you've fully processed that the email in front of you is from your boss, the subject line reading only, "Can we talk?" It can feel, in those moments, like your body knows something your mind hasn't caught up to yet. In a sense, it does. Think about the last time you jumped at a sound in an empty house. Your whole body tensed, heart rate spiked. Maybe you even gasped. And then, half a second later, your conscious brain finished its slower analysis and said, calmly, "Oh, that was just the ice maker." The fear was already over by the time the explanation arrived. You didn't decide to be afraid. You were afraid first, and your mind built the story around it afterward. This raises an uncomfortable question. If your body can fear something before you consciously know what it is, who's actually making the decisions in your life? The honest answer is that you are, but not alone. There's a second voice in there, older than language, faster than logic, and it doesn't ask your permission before it acts. This wiring explains a lot of modern confusion. You flinch at a coworker raising their voice in a meeting, even though no actual danger exists in that room. Your amygdala doesn't distinguish well between this email might end my career and this saber-toothed cat might end my life. Both register, biologically, as threat. Both spike cortisol. Both prime your body for fight or flight, even though one of those threats requires sprinting, and the other requires typing a calm, measured reply. You are walking around with a defense system built for predators, deployed daily against deadlines. The psychologist Daniel Kahneman, who spent his career studying how people actually make decisions rather than how they think they make decisions, described this split as two systems running inside every human mind. One is fast, automatic, emotional, and largely unconscious. The other is slow, deliberate, and effortful. Kahneman's research showed that the fast system isn't a glitch in human reasoning. It's the default operating system. The careful, conscious thinking you believe defines you, the version of yourself making rational choices, only gets called in when the fast system flags something as worth a second look. Most of the time, it doesn't get the chance. The decision is already made. This is why you can't simply decide not to be nervous before a presentation or choose to stay calm when a car horn blares behind you. The conscious, reasonable part of you isn't driving in that moment. It's in the passenger seat, watching the road, occasionally offering opinions that arrive a little too late to matter. So what do you do with a body that's still defending you against threats that no longer exist? You can't switch the system off. Hundreds of thousands of years of selection pressure built it, and it isn't interested in updating itself just because you now live in an apartment with locked doors and no predators in the grass. But you can learn to recognize when it's firing. That half-second jolt before logic kicks in isn't weakness, and it isn't something broken in you. It's an ancient, extremely well-tested survival mechanism doing exactly what it was built to do, just aimed, occasionally, at the wrong target. The flinch before the thought isn't a bug. It's a fossil. A piece of inherited behavior preserved not in stone, but in your nervous system, running quietly in the background every single day of your life. Next time your foot hits the brake before you know why, or your heart races before you've read the message, or you jump before you've seen the shape in the grass, you'll know what's actually happening. Something in you, far older than your conscious mind, already decided you were worth protecting, and it didn't bother waiting for your permission to act.